Okay, today I'm going to work on verse 13 of 2 Kings chapter 5. And uh, so let's start out by praying. Lord, help us to do this work well. Help us to enjoy the time that we have with you and getting into your word. And we pray that you use this for your glory. Amen. So, we're going to look at verse 13, and it says, Naaman's servants went to him. Okay, and said, but that would be a separate sentence. Now, in International Children's Bible, it says, but Naaman's servants came near. So that means they went to him. I can understand why they said that, because they were probably somewhere around Naaman, going with him. So they might want to say that they came near was like approaching. Easy English says, but Naaman's servants went to him. So you notice that both International Children's Bible and Easy English have the word but. I noticed in the Translator's Handbook it says that there is a Hebrew conjunction there which can be translated but or then. But I like but because it shows that there's a contrast. He had said, I don't want to go in the Jordan, and they're going to give him different counsel. And the translation for translators also says but his servants came to him. Okay, so let's start out with that. But Naaman apostrophe's servants came to Naaman, period, and let's see, I ended up using came to instead of went to. Not much difference there. Okay. And said. Okay, now this is an example of something that I've run into before. So if you look at the translation for translators, it says, and one of them said, that's in italics, showing that was implied. And Easy English says that. One of them said. Whereas the other translation said they said. So, probably it's almost certain that they weren't all talking in unison. So I kind of like the idea of saying one of them said. This is kind of a judgment call, and you could do it either way. But I think I'm going to say one of those servants said. So let's get that in. One of those servants said, comma, left bracket, open quote. So let's go back. Okay, he said, my father. Okay, so that's an addressee, and we can do that. International Children's Bible says, my father. And Easy English says, my father. Now, I notice on Easy English, there's something to hover over there. It's in italics, and if you click on it, it says, somebody who has obeyed you as you would obey your father. I looked at the translator's handbook for this one. It says it's a title of respect and should not be taken literally. It's omitted altogether by some versions, and some translate it with the modern English equivalent of sir. Translators should use an equivalent expression. So, and the translation for translators says sir. You see right here, sir. So, sir, that is related to Lord or Master. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say my master as the addressee. That would be really clear. Cap my, no space, left paren, servant, right paren, master, comma. Okay, so remember, if we have a first person pronoun, we have to put who it is in parentheses. It's one of the servants. Okay, what does he say? If the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? Okay, so that is probably a rhetorical question. So I think we're going to change that to a statement rather than a question. Let's see what ICB says. If the prophet had told you to do some great thing, wouldn't you have done it? Let's see what Easy English says. The prophet might have asked you to do some great thing. You surely would have done it. So see, they changed it. Easy English doesn't like rhetorical questions like us, so they changed it into a statement. And translation for translators. If the prophet had told you to do something difficult, you would certainly have done it. Okay, notice this notation, RHQ, rhetorical question. So they changed it from a rhetorical question to a statement. Okay. So we need to decide if we're going to use, as I mentioned before, for prophet, we have an explication, man or person who tells God's messages to people. Let's see where we use that last. It's been quite a ways back that we used that. I think I'm going to write out that explication again. You know, the question would be, should we like pair it as a complex concept with man, or even just use his name? Okay, so before I write it, let me take one more look. I'm going to use the explication again. If the prophet had told you to do some great thing, so great, you know, usually we use that meaning something that's really good or wonderful. I think what he really means is something difficult. Translation for translators uses something difficult. What did the Easy English do? They use some great thing. Okay, I don't think great is the best word here. left bracket. If the man, left bracket, who tells God's messages to people, right bracket, told you, no space, left paren, Naaman, right paren, left bracket, to do a difficult thing, right bracket, you, no space, left paren, Naaman, right paren, will do that thing. Double right bracket, period. Okay, you see there were, I need two right brackets there because I'm closing the if the man, the if, oh, no. Okay, I messed up there. The first right bracket should be after if he told you to do a difficult thing. So I'm going to put the right bracket there and get rid of one of these other right brackets. So there's one right bracket for the entire sentence. The other right bracket closed the if subordinate clause. If the man who tells God's messages to people told you to do a difficult thing, you will do that thing. Now we would say would, but we don't have a way of writing that conditional, so I'm using will. Okay, let's go back. How much more then when he tells you, wash and be cleansed? So we could say something like, so you should so it's because he's told him an easy thing to do. Let's see, in ICB, doesn't it make more sense just, let's see, the prophet told you to, doesn't it make more sense just to do it? After all, he only told you, wash and you will be clean. Easy English says, you surely would have done it. Now all he says to you is wash and then you will be clean. So how much more then? So how much more then is implying in the NIV that that all the more you should be willing to do what he's telling you to do now. Let's look at translation for translators. So you should certainly do what he says and wash in the Jordan to be healed. I want to look at, see if we have only, because that sounds like a good word to use here. I'm looking at adverbs. Nope, we don't have only. I don't think we have just either. So the idea of okay, so I can't say only like it used there. I can say, but we can certainly say now, but he told you wash and be cleansed. Then we could say you should do that thing. We could say it that way. Okay. That man told man/prophet Okay, I'm just making a note there that here I will pair the complex term prophet with man. You name in paren, no space left paren, Naaman, right paren, to wash Naaman, right bracket, left bracket, and to become clean, right bracket, period. You, no space left paren, Naaman, right paren, should do that thing, period, close quote. Okay, we need to think about if this is good enough. Let's see. But that, I'm going to pause the video while I think about this. Okay, I'm back. I've thought about it a little bit. Um, we do have the word only, but it modifies a noun. So if we go to object attributes, only, exclusivity, thing is not highly esteemed. I think it would be exclusivity here. Okay, in other words, it's the one thing. I'm going to rewrite this. The only thing that that man told you, no space, left paren, Naaman, right paren, left bracket, to do, double right bracket, is left paren, implicit hyphen info, right paren. Okay, now I got to think if I'm satisfied with this. So it's implied that they're saying that he should do that thing, but I'm wondering, should it just be part of the statement without the implicit info? It says, how much more then when he tells you, wash and be cleaned? So that how much more then is really implying that he should do it, I think. And ICB says, doesn't it make more sense just to do it? That's a nice way of putting it. Okay, I'm not going to use implicit info. I'm just going to make okay. Okay, well, I'm not 100% happy with this, but I think it gives the gist of it. So this is what I have. But Naaman's servants came to Naaman, and one of those servants said, my master, if the man who tells God's messages to people told you to do a difficult thing, you will do that thing. The only thing that man told you to do is to wash yourself and become clean. You should do that thing. Okay, I think that's good. I think it's pretty good. Now, note that I put these propositions to wash himself and to become clean after the word is. So you might wonder, can you do that? And this would be one of the forms for it to be. And it should be equative with a patient argument. Okay, so that would be this one. That's BA. God's plan is that Christ rule all things. That wouldn't be quite right. Let's see. There's also another one. There's predicative with a subject complement. It is true that John read that book. This is not quite what we want because it's using an adjective modifying a clause. So it looks like that's not quite what we want. If I use that object complement, it's going to insert that. and it's not really the, so let's see, it would say the only thing that he told you to do is that okay, I guess I'm going to have to rewrite this. Okay, so let's see, that man told you to wash yourself and to become clean. I'm going to put this, yeah, okay. That man told you to wash yourself and to become clean. You should do that thing. We could have an extra sentence. The thing that man told you to do is a simple thing. He told you to wash yourself and become clean. That would express the idea of it being his only telling him to do that, I think, or an easy. Let's do that. That man told you, no space, left paren, Naaman, right paren, left bracket, to do an easy thing, right bracket, period. That man said, comma, I decided, oh, I'm really changing around here. You notice it's actually a quote in the, and it's expressed as a quote. There could be a reason not to use a quote. It's a quote within a quote, but I guess I'll use it with a quote. Cap U, no space, left paren, Naaman, right paren, imperative paren, wash, Naaman, period, and you, no space, left paren, Naaman, right paren, imperative paren, become clean, period. Right bracket, backspace, close quote. I kind of like, whoops. I kind of like putting a conjunction here. He's making a contrast, but that man told you to do an easy thing. He said, you wash yourself and become clean. You should do that thing. Okay, this is simpler than the constructions I was using before. Okay, this is what we got now. But Naaman's servants came to Naaman, and one of those servants said, "My master, if the man who tells God's messages to people told you to do a difficult thing, you will do that thing. But that man told you to do an easy thing. That man said, wash yourself and become clean. You should do that thing." Okay, I think I hope I'll be satisfied with that. As you can see, there's a lot of thinking about this. Now, NIV says, wash and be cleansed. ICB has wash and you will be clean. Easy English has wash, then you will be clean. Wash to be healed. So the NIV, I guess it's more literal to say and become clean. They had an exclamation mark. That was why I originally looked back. So we could put an exclamation mark there. Or we could write it the other way, the way the other ones are. I think I'll leave it this way, but another option would be wash yourself so that you become clean, or wash yourself, then you will become clean, like some of the translations did. Okay, I think we're going to stop there. Thank you for listening today. Have a nice